Good morning, everyone. Wow, there's a lot of people that want to learn how to start a food truck. We have a great attendance this morning. I'm going to ask that if you are not muted, which you should be, please mute your audio. Thank you very much. Like I said, we have a great attendance today. If everyone could please mute their audio. I'm going to mute everyone. Well, hello, good morning. I am Heather Kelly. I am the marketing consultant with the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Rockford Chamber. The Small Business Development Center provides no-cost business services to small businesses in the area, whether you're an existing business or an aspiring entrepreneur. We can assist you in the areas of marketing, human resources, business planning, cybersecurity, and emerging technologies. So welcome everyone. And I will record this on Facebook Live. So if you want to refer back to this recording, please follow our page at Rockford SBDC. Also follow our pages, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, Rockford SBDC. Our website is rockfordsbdc.org so that you can follow our upcoming webinars. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Next week, we will have how to find a proper location for your business. That will be next week, same time, 11 a.m. via webinar, and we will have Terry Watts from Key Realty as our guest. And so with that, I would like to welcome Karen Hobbs. Karen is with KH Food Safety Consulting, and she is here to talk about how to start a food truck business. It's a very popular topic. So with that, I will turn it over to Karen. Karen, you're muted.
All right, can everybody hear me? All right. Thank you, Heather, for the introduction. And I would like to say thank you to SBDC for having me here today as a guest speaker. And if I could ask everybody to make sure that they mute their microphone, that would be great.
Why you ask me something like that?
Unmute. Karen.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yes, before I start the presentation, keep in mind this is a statewide webinar. So these are general information, but all the information you will find here would be applicable throughout the state, but there could just be some variation. So as far as specifics, it's very important to contact each health department. Okay, so how to start a food truck business? Let's change slides here. First, I think it's important to talk about the history. So you can see the picture here of the oldest food truck there is. I'm not very impressed with his apron. Obviously, he has no hand washing setup, but I just thought it's very interesting. It's a chalk wagon. It's actually invented by Charles Goodnight. He is a cattleman that drove herd of 2,000 cattle from state to state. So he find it, inconvenient not to have something that he could use for cooking and, so to be able to travel. He also created what chuck boxes, which stores his supplies, his food. And I just thought it's interesting too, that the word chuck is actually slang term for food. And then in early 1900, U.S. Army allowed mobile canteens in Army bases, and those food truck actually resembles the modern food truck that we have today. And then in the 60s until the 80s, food trucks were nicknamed road coaches, which I'm not very impressed of. And it's because due to the poor sanitation practices, food trucks that were serving in construction sites, work sites, but that changed after the 80s. But before I move on, I'd like to also point out that I just thought it's interesting that based on Winnebago County Health Department history, the Winnebago County Health Department opened in 1962. And in 1982, they received the prestigious National Samuel Crumbine Award for the best local food protection program in the country. So the timeline kind of correlate what shows how the sanitation practices in the food trucks has evolved for the better. So yeah, I just thought that was very interesting. In the 70s and 80s, taco food trucks increased their popularity in California. And then in 2010, the Great Recession happened and led to the popularity of gourmet trucks. And the history of that is a lot of work sites, construction sites actually have closed. So there's a surplus of these food trucks. And also so many chefs have lost their jobs, got laid off, and they got creative. They turned this food truck to serve their beautiful meals. So gourmet trucks started. And then 2010, Food Network. Who doesn't love Food Network? I love Food Network. I used to work out watching Food Network, believe it or not. And a great food truck race started. And so that also began made it very popular. The street food made it very popular. It's so popular now that a lot of restaurants actually, which is served indoor, serve street food. And then in 2014, National Food Truck Association formed. So that's a little bit of a history there. Okay, I'm going to change the slides. Let's see here. I think every time it's not changing. Okay, let's try this again. All right, technical difficulties. Let's see how we can do this. Let's see here. I'm sorry, everybody. We will figure this out.
Are you able to manually scroll, Karen?
Yeah, I'm just gonna reopen it. I
Okay.
don't know what happened. I truly apologize.
Also, I want to remind everyone, if you have a question in the chat, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. And then Karen will address them once she is done with her presentation.
Okay, I don't know why I'm not able to open it. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to. Can you see my screen, Heather?
No.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. And go to share. All right, we're heading there. Okay.
There we go.
All right, here we go. Okay, what is a food truck? Food truck is according to the FDA food code, is food preparation catering vehicle. It is either motorized or mounted. If it's mounted, it's very important to contact the municipality because of the size of the unit. So if you have a truck and your trailer, there could be some ordinance. And so it's important to contact the municipality. If it's a food truck, food is prepared from the interior of the unit. If it's prepared from the outside of the unit, if the food handler is standing on the ground outside the unit, it's more likely it's going to be a push cart. So there's actually two kinds of mobile unit, a food truck and a push cart. But today we're just talking about food truck. Operation is supported by a commissary. So commissary is the hidden requirements of food truck. So when you go purchase your taco, your hamburger, standing there waiting in line, half of the food preparation, half of the business is actually done at the commissary, which you don't see. So we will talk about commissary. I believe it's the next slide. I hope it works. And the commissary has all the required component, just like a food truck. So it's like a food truck is a moving kitchen. It has the cooking equipment, hot holding, cold holding, sinks, hand sinks, everything that you need in order to prepare your food. Where would you find a food truck? Food truck can be found in private catering, farmers market, festivals, temporary event, or daily, weekly designated site approved by a municipality, an organization, or a commercial property owner. So for example, we have Food Truck Tuesdays here, that's in Nicholas Conservatory. That is that the area is owned by the Park District. So all the food truck that operates there has been approved by the Rockford Park District. Okay, food truck is approved and licensed by the health department. All of them. If you see them out there, they have some kind of a license, some kinds of a permit, which we will discuss later. Approval is on a case-by-case basis. The commissary and food truck must support the menu and operation. What I mean by that is that, you can have two food trucks next to each other and they could have the same menu. Let's just say example, cannolis. Okay, one food truck, the filling of the cannoli is from a distributor already pre-made, and the other food truck is made from scratch by the operator. So the permit that would be required for each food trucks are two separate different permits. So it's important to keep in mind, once again, every food service business is approved based on a case-by-case basis, and it's typically branch off from their menu and the way they operate. Okay, commissary, the hidden component of a food truck. It's very important and to appreciate every food truck out there because there are work involved. The permit for the commissary is separate from the food truck, and there are two separate approval process. It's important when you start the approval process for a food truck, it's also to start at the same time for the commissary. And there are two different kinds of commissary. The commissary could be owned by the same owner of the food truck. So if you have an existing restaurant and you want to branch out and be part of the community event, then they may want to purchase a food truck. And or it can also, it has been done in the past where an operator would like to just kind of try out the market and got some correct guidance and start a food truck, and they became very profitable and then earn enough money to open a brick and mortar. So so it's been done either way. Okay. The other kind is a shared commissary. What that means is that the permit the name on the permit in that commissary is not the same owner as a food truck. So the permit is shared, and how someone can obtain that, if it's approved by the regulatory agency, is there is a commissary sharing agreement form. It's like a little contract between the owner of the permit and someone who's going to be visiting once a week, twice a week, few hours a week, whatever it may be, and use that specific location to be able to make their menu and use for the food truck. Okay, the commissary is approved and inspected by all applicable local regulatory agencies. So it's not just the health department. It's also, because it's intact, it has sewer, city water, city sewer. It is approved by the building department, the fire department, and local sanitary district, and of course, the health department. The commissary, just like any other food service, the approval is on a case-by-case basis. So just because the commissary has a license, and that doesn't mean it's going to be approved. So if the existing business that's in that commissary at that time has difficulty in the past or currently able to keep their food cold, or they don't have adequate storage space, adequate refrigeration, it would be really hard for the health department to approve another visiting business to use that as a commissary. So that's why it's a case-by-case basis. So that's just one of the scenario, one of the examples. Commissary is a designated site for utensil washing. It's very important to remember that the amount of water in the food truck is limited, okay? And so therefore there could only be so much washing that can be done. The water in that food truck is mostly going to be used for hand washing. We want the food handlers to wash their hands as needed. And if they do wash anything in the food truck, it's very seldom. We want to ensure first that the tank is filled, and so that afterwards they know how much water is left. As part of the process in approving the commissary and the food truck, the health inspector would assess how big the 3-compartment sink, how much gallons of water is going to be used when they wash the dishes. So last thing you want is not to be able to wash dishes because they don't have enough water. So yes, because of all that, most of the dirty dishes that is used in a food truck is put in a container, in a lid container, and taken back to the commissary at the end of the day. Okay, the commissary source for all equipment, food, water, and supplies. So when you see a food truck at the end of the day, anything inside that food truck must be taken back. It can't go back to someone's shed. It can't go back to someone's basement, someone's garage. It has to be in an inspected facility. Okay. Now, the unit itself, once it's clean and emptied, can go back to your property. And we have seen that, we have allowed that. We preferred that it's in the commissary, but we have allowed that. So yes, it's important to keep that in mind. The designated site for discard liquid waste. So the commissary must have a mop sink that meets the code. Mop sink that has hot and cold running water, a mop sink that is designed for dumping liquid waste. So you don't want to ever see anybody dumping raw sewage where you prep the food. That is very, very dangerous. So, all right, water source. Now, this is rare, but there has been some commissary in the past that I've worked with and licensed that has a private well. So we can't assume that all commercial establishment has city water. And if they do have private well, the operator must provide well water satisfactory result per application. So if they have an annual permit, that must be attached to the application when they submit it. Okay. The reason we look at this is that if they have well water, And if the reason it is tested, they're looking for example, coliform. Coliform is an indicator that shows that the water has contaminants such as E. coli. So it's very important to know not just the food, the supplies, where the water is coming from for each food truck. All right, so the food truck, the commissary can have city water or private septic system. Once again, it's rare, but it has happened. If a building, a commissary has private septic system, that septic system is designed to only hold so much usage of water per day. So based on the restaurant's operation, our menu, how many days they're open, and all of that is put into consideration. So if they're adding someone else, another business to come in and do more prep work, use more water, the health department would have to reassess that to make sure that the septic system will be able to afford to have more water usage. Okay. All right. I just love it when it changed page every time. Woohoo! All right. Common mistakes. I love this picture, by the way. This is what we don't want to be. I feel like he's saying, I dress up like this and I got my mobile unit and I can't get a license. So we don't want that. That's what we're gonna avoid. Okay, common mistakes. Purchasing unit without a full understanding of the food truck business. Research, get the right guidance from the very beginning. And what the ideal situation is not to buy the food truck. That should be the last steps. Okay, everything, all the planning can be done on paper. Even when you start the approval process from the health department, such as the plan review, that can all be done in paper. Okay, so it's important to understand the business before purchasing the unit. It doesn't matter how affordable that food. I know it's enticing. I've seen a lot of advertising and there's a lot of social media. I don't care how cheap it is. Highly advise not to buy the unit because you don't want to get stuck with that unit. And so, yes. Also, lack of complete knowledge of the commissary. So if you've been approached by someone who has a restaurant and say, yes, you can come over and come prep here. It is okay to ask all the right questions. It is okay to say, hey, can I check it out? Can you show me where would be my designated space for my dry storage? Can you show me where I can, store my cold products in a walk-in cooler? There's got to be adequate refrigeration. And it's okay to research as far as the inspections, the previous inspections. All those can be obtained from the health department. They're public records. And so, yeah, it's important to have a good understanding by communicating with the owner of that commissary and also do your own research. And you can contact the health department, and that's one of the options. Lack of complete knowledge of the operating site for point of sale. Contact the municipality. If there's a certain location, just tell them I would like to operate in the corner of such and such. Is this okay to do? What kind of licenses do I need to get? And who do I contact? Okay. Know your menu. Ingredient source, preparation, the storage, the transport, the product assembly to point of sale. Know your menu from front to back. It is very, very important. If you ask me to provide a service to you, I would use a HACCP approach. HACCP is Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. HACCP is actually invented by NASA. NASA, as they create the rocket, it costs $1 billion. They're just not going to do that without making sure that every step of the way has been looked at and any possible hazard has been analyzed and once they analyze, once they identify what are the immediate corrections. So doing the HACCP using a HACCP analysis on the menu is very, very important. And also, once you have that and the business has started, and if you document it well, let it work for you. You can have your manager's employee follow that same procedure. You can walk away knowing that your sanitation level is up to par. Okay. All right. Lack of proper guidance. Once again, from the very beginning, it's important to get the right guidance. This will save you time, money, effort. And so, yes, it's very important. Lack of full understanding of the rules and regulations. Know the code. Talk to people who have opened the business food service, especially food trucks. From the guidance that you are going to obtain, have conversation with them, have them educate you, have them train you, and always have plan B. B meaning better prepared. So when you have a food truck, you've done all that work, all that prep, all that loading into the unit, bring it to the site. And if you don't have plan B, all that effort, you may not be able to operate. For example, if you don't have an extra waste collecting tank, it's not required, but recommended. Because the last thing you want is for your liquid waste to start pouring out onto the street. That is a major no-no. So you don't want your unit to be shut down. A lack of refrigeration. If it's very hot, just in case one of the unit breaks down, have a backup chest freezer for storage. So always have a plan B. If something comes up, know who the organizer, get their contact number so that you can reach to them and there are a resource. And so yes, always have a plan B. All right. The next one, ideal course of action. So what we really want is plan, set goals, learn how to implement, and then start, okay? It's very important to start not just a food truck business, I would say any business, to have the ideal mindset. You have to be determined. You have to have an open mind that there may be some information that you anticipate to find out, but it's not what you thought it is. And most importantly, have fun in the process. Okay, when I started my business, this was just an idea months back. And, I called SBDC in September, and it's a slow process. It's important to have a slow process so you can understand every step of the way, and that ensures success. Okay, ask for proper guidance from the very beginning. Once again, that way you don't get lost and you don't waste time and money. Document, document, document. Especially when you call regulatory agency. If you have a question, they answer the question, whether it's about a food code, the permit, have a little logbook, write down the date, the time, the name of the inspector or the official, and what was the conversation was about, and what was your question, and how was it answered. So it's important to know that. Documentation can not only is a point of reference, you can also use that for your next business. Okay, learn your menu. Once again, I talked about this in the last slide. Know your ingredient source, preparation, storage, transport, product assembly, point of sale. Once again, highly recommend using the HACCP approach, and my company provides that. Learn to be an expert from the very beginning. For food service, there's actually 3 hats you're going to be wearing. You learn about the business operation, and you're going to learn about the food service, how you're actually going to make the food and serve it to the customer. And also, most importantly, you are the food safety expert. Okay, by the time you are given that permit, the health department understanding is that you are now the expert. We're issuing this permit. The stipulation is follow the rules and regulation. The permit actually covers you from the moment you receive the food from the distributor, delivered to you, to the point that you hand out that end product to the customer. Okay. If the customer decides to keep that food in their car for 5 hours and not eat it until later, that doesn't fall under you. Okay. That's why having a system in place and documentation is very, very important. So yes, be an expert on all aspects of the business. And when you are an expert in all of that, the menu, food service, food safety, you know, the rules and regulations, you have the correct guidance, you have all the documents, you have all the paperwork, then it's time to start the permitting process. Okay. And it's very important to remember to start the process for the commissary as well as the food truck at the same time. Okay. It may not get approved at the same time, because of the different requirements, but it's important to start the conversation, to start the paperwork. Okay. Legal requirements. So commissary, one of the most important component of a food truck business, will be approved by the health department, building department, fire department, and local sanitary district, because it is a building. And so therefore all this agency has to be involved. Food truck is moving. Okay, it's not connected to city water or city sewer, so it's only going to be approved by the health department to get the license. Also, the zoning department's very important to contact them, depending on where you're going to have your point of sale, the site for that. And also, is it okay for you to park that truck at your driveway? So last thing you want is to have that truck in your driveway and it's so huge, and then you get contacted by the municipality that you have to take it elsewhere. So know the rules and regulations. And also possible itinerant vendor license. There could be other licenses as well, but by mentioning this, that will trigger you to contact the municipality. If you do get my services, that would be my job to contact the municipality, the county that you're going to be working out of, to make sure that not just itinerant vendor license, possibly other license may be required. Okay, as far as the business, SBDC, I love SBDC. They rock. They're wonderful. It's the free consult, and they will teach you how to start a business. Get a business license. You can contact a business lawyer. And sales tax. For each municipality that the food truck operates in, it is important to use ST2 form, and the ST2 form must be filed in each municipality. Okay, types of health department permit. So for the commissary, the options are annual permit and shared permit. Okay, for the food truck, annual permit, which is ideal, and I will explain later why this is ideal, or temporary event permit or special event permit. Now, some health departments, I know Winnebago County has the definition for temporary permit, and the fees is separate and different than the special event permit. Other health department may just have an annual permit, and the temporary special event may be the same. So there's a little variation there. Please keep that in mind. Okay, license category. I needed to think of something to best describe the permit option. So how to best describe why annual permit is ideal is because it's a one-time approval. So you do all that work, we package it, we submit the paperwork to the health department. Once you've been approved with an annual permit, that permit is good until you close the business. Okay, so every year, all you have to do is pay the fee and get renewed. Okay, now short-term permit, the approval process, the inspection, the permit is only per location. Okay, so in the long run, I'm going to show you later, it's a little bit more expensive. And there's two kinds of short-term permit, which is a temporary event permit or a special event permit. So there's multiple approval process, multiple permits. Okay, food permit categories. So I thought it's important to identify what is a high risk, what is a medium risk, what is a low risk. As you can see, I have food next to it. So high risk is complex food preparation of food or beverage that supports bacterial growth. So you can see that I have, I think that's egg roll as an example. So that's complex. Sometimes the egg rolls filling is made in advance, there's cooling involved, and then you wrap it. There's a lot of dicing, a lot of prep. Okay, and also refrigeration is required and hot holding unit is required. Medium risk permit. Minimal preparation of food and beverage that supports, but also supports bacterial growth, but it's not as complex. So for medium risk, there's no cooking in advance, there's no cooling involved, but refrigeration is still required and hot holding is still required. When I say refrigeration is required, that means the product is required to be kept at 41 degrees or lower, 41 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. And if it's hot holding, the product is required to be kept at 135 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Okay. Now, lowest permit. Lowest permit does not require refrigeration or hot holding because the product you're going to be dealing with is shelf stable. My example here is cotton candy. So that can sit out all day long. Okay. Uh-oh, it happened again. Let's see. I think when, all right. Oh, let's see here. I apologize again. I don't know how the line came. Whenever the screen is disturbed, I have to do this. Okay, so let's see if this works now. There you go. Yay! All right. Okay, so food truck options, permit options. There's 3 different kinds: annual permit, temporary event permit, or special event permit. So for commissary, for annual permit, the commissary is required. For temporary, the commissary is required. The special event is not required. Certified operator, someone who has a Serve Safe certificate, is required for annual. It is required for temporary, but it is not required for special event. Okay. Equipment requirement. The most stringent is the annual permit. Less stringent than the annual is a temporary. The least stringent of all is a special event. Okay. I'm going to skip down to number of inspections. Annual permit has 1 inspection. Once again, you've been approved 1 time. It's good until the business close. You just renew the permit every year. And each time you pay that permit, you get 1 annual routine inspection. You may get additional rechecks, but you get 1 annual routine inspection. Temporary event, same thing with special event, multiple routine inspections. It's because 1 routine inspection is required per location. Okay, so each time you move that truck, wherever you're going to be, you'll be inspected at that location. The location, 1 permits for all locations, multiple permits per is required because 1 permit per location. Once again, same thing with a special event. The food permit risk level. The annual permit is flexible. You can have a low permit, low risk level, medium or high. Same thing with the temporary, but with a special event, because there's no commissary, there's no certified operator, the equipment is the least stringent. It's only limited to medium and low. So let's talk about the permit costs. So this is pretty much based on the Winnebago County structure, okay? And like I said, other health department may have the same structure. The annual permit, as far as the permit cost, is the most affordable. The temporary is more expensive than the annual permit, and the special event is the most expensive. And the reason for that is that there's, the requirement for the special event is the least stringent. So special events is actually used for tents also. So if you have a mobile unit that can't pass inspection because it's lacking a hand sink, it's the wrong 3-compartment sink, you don't have enough, whatever it may be, whatever the reasoning, you can't pass inspection, you can use that food truck to operate and have a special event permit. Because if a tent, 4 tarps, can operate with special event, certainly, a compartment with 4 metals can certainly operate with special event permit. But so in the long run, if you think about it, if you spend the money in trying to comply and get an annual, you spend the money on the unit so that you can comply. And as we move to other types of permit, like the special event, yes, you're not spending the money on the unit to try to comply, but I don't want to use the word wasting, but you're using the money to get more permits so that you can apply. So ideal is to try to keep the money in your business and pay less license and less inspection too. So, but the requirement is a lot more. Okay. I hope I was able to describe that clearly. And anyone has any questions, feel free to visit my website and message me, and we can do a consultation. And I can also help you fill out the form and the application for temporary and special event. Okay. Again, what happened? Let's see. We're getting there. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Don't we just love technology? Okay. Heather, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it. Do you have your PowerPoint printed out?
There we go. There we go. Yes. Okay. How to prepare for an inspection. You have to have the ideal mindset. Please view the inspector as a resource. It's very, very important. Take advantage of them being there. Use that as a time for them to train you. So have all the questions that you have over time that you thought, I wish I'd asked the inspector last time he was here or whatever. So write those questions down. Take the opportunity. Develop a good rapport with the organizer. In every event that you're in, know who's in charge, obtain a contact number. So if there is a situation, you have help coming your way. Test all equipment in advance. It's very, very important. Make sure that they are all working. You don't want to do all that work, hauling all that equipment and food and not operate. Do self-inspection as soon as the unit is set up and before the inspection by the health department, so that you can correct and minimize any violations that they can find. Have plan B. Once again, I gave an example. Make sure you have highly recommend extra waste collecting tank, extra water source, extra utensils, and such. Menu and operation consistent with information submitted on the application. Very, very important. So if you put down you're serving egg rolls and pop, only serve egg rolls and pop. So when the application is submitted to the health department, that approval process is based on the information you put down. So you don't want to add other thing to the menu without consulting with the health department prior to the event, and do all that work, do the event, and then the health department may not allow you to serve that product because you may not have the right permit for that product. So make sure, be consistent, be ready on time. Keep in mind, there are only so many health inspectors. I believe right now there's 8 inspectors, if I'm talking about Winnebago County, and it's a big county. So on the weekends, there could be 20 events and could be 1 or 2 inspectors are working. So the time that you put on there is the time they will inspect you. And if it's impossible for them to be there, they will contact you in advance. But so be ready for them because there is a late fee for that. Okay. All right. Yay, we made it to the end. And I can't believe I saw the slides. Oh, sorry about again for all the technical difficulties, but this is a time for questions and thank you, everyone.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions. Are there any questions for Karen? We'll take a few of those. I know that we commit to getting you back to your office work at noon. So we'll take a few questions now.
And feel free to contact me or email me or go to my website if there are questions that we don't get to answer today.
Hi, this is Wanda. I'm calling for Timothy. He's my husband, and he is interested in opening up a food truck. We had a previous business with 4 other people, and what we did was we did festivals, and we just kind of moved around. And so we want to open it up again by ourselves. And so what we're wondering is, for the menu, he wanted to have like a mobile food truck with specials. So what you're saying is once you get the permit, you have to say what you're going to cook and you can't change the menu. If you decide like you're going to have a Tuesday special, you can't do that?
You can certainly do that. So what I would suggest is that to put all your ideas. So if your business plan shows that there will be specials, what type of food categories are you talking about? So it doesn't have to be a specific, but you can have some variations. So yes, no, you can have specials, you can change it. I think it's just important to be transparent with the regulatory agency because, for example, if the food permit that's issued to you is a medium risk permit, and next thing you know, you have cheesecake, then that falls under the high risk permit, then that would be a problem. So if you just provide examples and categories and vision, realize in the long run, how do you want to see your business in 2 years? Take that opportunity to be transparent and let the health department know. And of course, you can, once you obtain your permit and you want to do some changes, it is okay to reassess and contact the same inspector. That's why it's very important to have the good relationship with the inspector from the very beginning, because they're your resource. And you can contact them and say, you know what, I'd like to do these changes. And they may say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Yes, you're definitely going to be a high risk. So we will do a quick assessment again, and we'll have to apply a different kind of permit next year. So you can add your cheesecake. So it can be done. It's just that every step of the way, you have to be transparent, you have to communicate and document.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we have 2 questions in the chat. One is, Not holding your feet to the fire, but can you provide a ballpark price for an annual permit?
Okay, annual permit. I believe in Winnebago County, I can only speak in Winnebago County. I believe annual permit is in the $400, and a medium permit is in the $300, and low risk is $200. So it is a lot more affordable. So let me compare a temporary event permit for Winnebago County, and this is for the 6-month period for 26 events for high risk is $400. And that's just for 26 events. So if you have an annual permit and you spent your money on trying to comply and get the annual permit, you can operate every day of the year, every day for $400. And for a temporary, you would be spending $400 per location, up to 26 events on that location. So it is so much more affordable. And that's why it's very important to, if you are going to be in this business, do it for the long run, because food truck isn't cheap. Okay. If you're doing tents, that's different. But if you do actually buying the unit and planning in advance, what you want is try to comply fully, and so that you can obtain the most affordable license and keep the money to yourself and your unit.
Okay, there was a request to see the commissary slide again. Are you able to do that?
Oh, I will try.
All right, they just want to take notes, and then I have a couple more comments here.
Okay, feel free.
So one says, I just want to make sure I'm understanding the commissary requirement correctly. In order to have a food truck, you have to be under the umbrella of a restaurant, or is it just a commercial kitchen? Can a home ever be considered a commissary?
Okay, that's county, based on county to county. Okay, there has been some residents that has had an annual license, but the caveat is they must have a separate kitchen from their personal kitchen. So if they do, of course, it has to be approved by the zoning department first, because it's residential zone. So if you change the zoning and get approved, then you can build a commercial kitchen, and that can, in that location, you can consider, yes, the commissary is at your home. But like I said, there's a lot of counties in the state of Illinois. It is important to have a conversation for that particular county because it's different from county to county. But yes, there has been some situation where home is considered a commissary. But typically it's a separate than your personal kitchen.
Okay. And Karen, do you consult in Boone County as well?
Certainly, yes. I have great support in neighboring counties. And since we followed the FDA code, it's applicable throughout the state. Yes, I can certainly do consultation for Boone County.
Okay. And what do you recommend for someone who wants to have a food truck that serves coffee drinks for special events, but also wants to serve pastries or non-refrigerated foods that are pre-made by an existing baker that has their own business?
Okay.
A plot twist.
Okay, that's a lot of questions. There's a lot of answers. First of all, based on the menu that I heard, it seems like it's going to be a medium risk level. Okay, nothing complicated that would involve cooling in advance. Yes, my suggestion is, if you want to do food truck, is get the goal, get an annual permit. The requirements for the menu you just described is less stringent from a food truck that's serving gourmet food. shepherd's pie, things like that, because a lot of the ingredients that was mentioned is from a distributor, or the baked goods is from a existing bakery. So yes, that can actually be done. I think the only thing that may be a problem if you're not dealing with raw meat, but I just want to mention this. It's important to know that multi-ingredient meat has to be purchased from a wholesaler, not a retailer. So if you're making hamburgers, hamburgers, and that's typically medium risk permit because nothing is cooked in advance because you cook the raw meat right in the truck. But that meat has to be single ingredient for you to get it at a grocery store. If that meat has salt or other ingredients in it, it has to be purchased from a wholesaler. So once again, know the rules and regulations.
Okay, so for the person that asked for your commissary page,
Yes, I'm trying.
let's direct them, if you would, to contact, and Karen's contact information is up here, Karen@khfoodsafety.com, and she can get you that information.
Really quick question, if I may. Is there a list of commissaries in Winnebago County that are already been pre-approved?
There are commissaries in Winnebago County that's been pre-approved.
But is there a whole list of all of them? So let's say I have a client that's trying to start a food truck and they want to start looking for commissary kitchens that are being pre-approved. Is there one central place to look to obtain that?
I think what you're referring to is what we call shared kitchen. And I believe we only have one in the county. I believe City Market has a shared kitchen. I just seen that in one of the social media. They're advertising, looking for food establishment to use their the kitchen. So that's the only thing I can think of. But as far as commissary, it could be any existing restaurant. And once again, it's a case by case basis. So it is okay to approach or to be approached, but start having that conversation and get the right guidance from the very beginning, and know the previous inspections of that commissary that you're looking at. So any existing open kitchen right now is open to be a commissary.
Sure, I understand that, but the way that some of these churches are advertising that their kitchen is being pre-approved and they're now renting it out as a commissary, or community centers, or private clubs, or like the City Market has their kitchen, the kitchen for rent over on 18th Street, they have a kitchen and they're constantly advertising. Do you know of an actual I guess maybe you just answered my question.
Yeah, there's no list out there. When I work for the health department, of course, they can't advertise for anybody. And I don't really know if there's any organization that has compiled a list. Maybe that's something, I just started my business. Maybe that's something that I need to do that would benefit a lot of my clients. But yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't have a direct answer to that. When they say it's pre-approved, I think what they really mean, and I know it can be misleading, is that it's been pre-approved, that they have their own license for their own use. And considered to be a commercial kitchen approved by the building, fire, sanitary district, and even the health department. So I think that's what they meant pre-approved, but not necessarily it's pre-approved just to use by someone else. Remember, it's a case by case basis. They might invite someone else, but once you present to the health department that your commissary and they don't have enough space for you, that doesn't mean it's going to be approved.
Sure.
Okay.
I thank you for your response, and I'm glad to see that you're doing your own thing, because I bumped into you with the health department plenty of times, and I thought that was on. So.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Real quick, very quickly, we have 2 quick questions in the chat, and then I'm going to let everybody go. And you have Karen's contact information there. What do you recommend for someone who wants to have a food truck? Oh, wait. Okay, I already did that. Is there food truck recommendations in Winnebago County as far as rental?
rental? Well, what's important to remember is that it doesn't really matter who owns that truck. What matters who owns the permit for that truck. Okay. Just like the mall, all the businesses there is owned by the mall, but they're leasing the space. So as far as the regulatory agency if I'm helping somebody, our concern is who owns that permit. They can be renting that truck from somebody, but it still needs to meet code. And so an agreement or a conversation needs to happen between the person who's obtaining the permit and the owner of the truck. When the requirements is presented, is the owner of the truck going to be doing and spending the money to do the changes? Or is the who owns the permit, applying for the permit, the one going to be spending money and doing all the changes? And what happens when the business closes? So that is a business contract, a business decision. So there's a good conversation that needs to be had.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. If you have any further questions, please contact Karen at khfoodsafety.com. Her web address is khfoodsafety.com. Thank you, everyone. Again, join us next week for how to find the right location for your business. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.